Hey everyone, it's Brett Hofstadt, and I want to share some scenes and a recap of the fantastic experience I had last weekend with John Powell, or JP, from JP Aerospace and his team on their 199th high-altitude balloon launch. I was fortunate to join him on that in the remote Nevada desert, and this was a preview for me and for all of you who have backed the book Goodnight Moon Base on Kickstarter, because on their next mission, which will be mission 200 for the company, we will have these souvenir cards, Space Explorer official card to represent Goodnight Moon Base, that will be a payload on their mission, and it will have the name of everybody who backed the book on Kickstarter right here. You'll tell me what name to put on that for all you backers. I'll be asking you that through Kickstarter soon, and then we'll get these ready for the next launch, which will happen in October or November this year. That's the plan. So let me show you some of the exciting scenes and fun aspects of this mission that happened, and then I'll come back and say, look for that survey so that we can get your name on this card here to go to the edge of space, about 100,000 feet up. All right, so first I showed up to the JP Aerospace site in Rancho Cordova near Sacramento, and I helped them load up their vehicles. So one thing interesting to point out, they spend a lot of work and take a lot of time to recover the vehicle after it lands somewhere in the desert. They have to have a lot of contingencies for wherever it might land, a lot of off-road conditions. So JP Aerospace and JP and his team have built this electric bicycle that they brought, and it's pretty ingenious because the rear drive is from you and your pedals that you're using with a chain. The front wheel has electric power, so it becomes a two-wheel drive bicycle, and JP said it just climbs up hills easily, and it's really remarkable. Here's the most amazing thing to me is they built this 9 years ago, so it was on the leading edge of technology and innovation, and they still use it. All right, so then we headed out. We carpooled out to the desert. It took about 4 hours to get there, and so I have some scenes of the roads. I thought they were interesting. There's a lot of desert roads winding into the hills then in Nevada, and then we did stay overnight the night before. We drove out the day before, stayed in a hotel in Lovelock, Nevada. Some people camped at the site actually, but I chose a hotel this time. And then we get close to the site here. It's on a big lake bed, dried lake bed. And so then here's a scene of the site after we got the ground tarp prepared for the balloon launch so that it's not sitting directly on the desert floor. And then the day of the launch, after we did a lot of preparation, spent a good part, we got there early in the morning. There's a team meeting with JP and the team. This is the payload structure you see there with all the payload objects on it. So one of the things they carry are Pong Sat. It's ping pong balls with some type of science experiment inside, and these come from students all around the world, as far as I know, for STEM education projects. So if you are a student or you have a student who wants to do some kind of experiment where it goes up into weightlessness and the edge of space, a very low pressure, high altitude, like 100,000 feet or so, get in touch with JP at JP Aerospace, and you can figure out how to get your experiment on one of his missions. There's other payloads on the balloon too, with cameras and videos and other things. Then the team brought out this payload structure to the launch site. This is one of the only shots I have of the buildings and structures there at the site, but you can see the main building there. You can also see the ATV vehicle that they use to recover this payload when it drops down in the desert somewhere. Now here's a picture of my good friend Paul Turner, and he's a key person on the JP Aerospace team. He's been with them many years, and he's also an author working on some books with space exploration. I'll put a link to his site in the description. So he's a great guy. But that is the balloon in the bag right there. And then Paul was the person to get it set up under the tarp. You see here, connecting it with the helium hose. And then they put me to work there the whole time. So I helped inflate the balloon by counting down, keeping track of how much cubic feet of helium we were putting into the balloon. We had to be very precise with that because it has to be enough to lift the payload, but not too much. And of course, if it's not enough helium, we're not going to get up to altitude. So that was a precise measurement they made calculations for, and I helped with that. So here you see the balloon underway under the tarp with all the helium tanks we're using. And then here's a shot of me somebody took to show the balloon as it's ready to launch, being held under the tarp. So then they brought out the payload, they connected it, and let's go now to the videos. We have two shots. I took a video of the launch from my perspective, and then Logan was another person there. He's actually a college student helping out. He launched the balloon. He actually pulled the ripcord, so to speak, or the release cord for the tarp to let the balloon go, and he was recording video as he did it. So I'm going to show you that great perspective too. All right, so here we go. Let's watch the video.
Oh! Oh my goodness!
Hey!
Oh my goodness, wow.
Go, 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 go!
So I hope you enjoyed all these scenes and videos from my perspective. There's a lot more that JP shared and captured from his perspective. So in my description of the video, I'm going to link to his social media accounts. I encourage you to please go to those, enjoy the scenes, and also follow him to make sure he gets more exposure and traction and support, because he could really use that and appreciates it. So look for all those links in the description for the video, and we'll have more coming up later this year. And he has a lot more happening all throughout the year too, between now and then. I hope you enjoyed that look at JP Aerospace and their high altitude balloon launch. It was a lot of fun, a really impressive operation that they've done many times now, learned and grown a lot with it, and it was very successful. So look for a survey from me if you're one of the backers for the book Goodnight Moon Base on Kickstarter. Thanks again very much for all of your support and enthusiasm. We'll be making a card like this with everybody's name on it. It'll look like this. And then I'll be making that and getting it ready for their next launch coming up in October or November of this year, if all goes well. Thanks again for everybody's support. Take care and take charge.